Hi, it's Lauren. Welcome to our Hello Spring Whimsy Stamps video hop and giveaway. The video team with Whimsy Stamps is putting on this fun hop featuring our Slimline Meadow die set. So you will see lots of inspiration using this die set with all different styles and techniques. We are also giving away a $25 gift card to the Whimsy Stamp store, so make sure you hop along and leave comments on all of the videos for a chance to win. I'll have more information about the giveaway as well as all the supplies I used down below in my description. So I started out by making all of my die cuts. I have my Slimline Meadow die cut in Bristol smooth paper because I'm going to be doing some distressing, and the rest are cut out from yellow, white, and brown cardstock. I'm also going to be using this adorable bunny and the Happy Easter sentiment on this card. Now for my distress background, I am going to create kind of a bush shape with my tape here, and that is to help me kind of create my bushes on the border part of this die. So I'm going to fit that right onto where a bush would be on the left and do the same thing on the right. And then I'm also going to use some of this tape to hide the bushes because I'm going to be distressing in blue first, and this will make sure I don't get blue on areas that I want to be green. So I'm going to start off with my tumbled glass and my brush here, and I'm just going to add some color all around the top portion of this frame because this is going to be the sky of my card. So I'm going to go all the way around until I like the color, and then I'm going to bring in some broken china just to add a little bit of a shadow in the sky and just kind of create a fade between the two colors. Once I'm happy with how that looks, I can clean up my station, and I'm going to peel off that tape so I can distress some green on the bottom for my meadow. I'm starting out with cracked pistachio, and I'm going to cover the whole bottom part of this die cut. And once I'm happy with that color, I want to add in some shadows, so I'm using Lucky Clover. I think this is a good complementary color to the cracked pistachio. I'm going to start by adding this darker color to the bottom of my card, and then I want to add some of this color as like a shadow to these little cut pieces of the meadow. So I am putting in a piece of scrap paper in between that die cut, and I want to make sure I'm adding the shadow to behind the grass. So this darker shadow, once I remove the paper, it will look like it's shadow behind that little part of the meadow. And I'm going to repeat this step for all three of those die cut pieces. And then I'm going to bring in that same color along the edge just to kind of frame my meadow on this piece. And because I didn't mask where my sky was, my pistachio got a little bit into my sky. So I'm just bringing back that blue brush and just using the leftover ink and covering up that pistachio. Now this die created a frame, and I need to make sure that I have a sky piece to go behind this frame. So I'm using those same colors, tumbled glass and broken china, to color this background piece of white cardstock, and as you can see, it blends in nicely with my frame. I'm going to clean up my workstation and adhere this piece to my Kraft card base. I trimmed this down from a cardstock piece to 7 by 8.5. I scored along the 7 at 3.5 to create this slimline card. I am adhering my cardstock to that card base centered, and before I put on my meadow frame, I'm going to add in some of my other die cut pieces. I have my yellow sun, and I'm going to put that in the upper left hand corner. I'm placing it where I want it to go so I know exactly where to put glue, and I'm adding some wet glue behind the sun and gluing that down. I want it to extend over the edge of the frame. I'm going to trim all of that down, but I like the look of my scene being continuous and not just solely what's on the card, but gives the illusion that the scene is bigger than what you're seeing. And once that sun is down, I'm going to bring in my clouds. I have a smaller cloud that will go on the right. I am adding some glue where it will touch the frame. And then I'm going to repeat the same process for the larger cloud. This is going below the sun, again applying adhesive to where it will touch the frame. And now I need to decide where I want my birdhouse to go. I have my little stand here, so I'm just making sure that I have plenty of room for my birdhouse, and I know exactly where I want to glue that stand. and I'm going to put some wet glue on that, and I'm going to tuck it just behind that first little die cut line there in my meadow, so it looks like my birdhouse is sticking out of the grass. And once I'm happy with all of the placements, I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to apply some foam tape. I have a 1/4 inch wide foam adhesive, and I'm going to apply that all around 4 sides of this frame die cut piece, as well as various spots behind the sun, the clouds, and the meadow. I want to make sure this piece has good stability on my card base, so I am applying foam tape all over to make sure that there is enough contact of this on my card base. Now I'm trimming off all of that excess cloud and sun rays, and that again will give the illusion the scene extends beyond the card. And once I have all of those trimmed down, I'm just going to pick up my little scraps, and then I will peel off all of the release paper from that foam tape and then place it onto my card base so it's centered, and that blue cardstock we glued down prior shows behind that sun and clouds. Now that the background is done, we can start adding in the rest of our pieces. I'm going to glue the roof onto my birdhouse by applying some wet glue and laying that birdhouse on top of it. And when I flipped it over and was getting ready to adhere it, I felt like the house looked a little plain compared to the background. So I'm bringing out Vintage Photo. I am distressing that inner circle that's going to be inside of the birdhouse, and then applying a little bit of ink around the edges of the house. Next, I want to glue that little circle inside my birdhouse. It's a little bit darker to make it look like it is inside. So I'm going to apply some wet glue after placing my house onto the card so I know exactly where to glue that circle down. And then I'm going to use some dimensionals to pop up this birdhouse onto my card base. I want to make sure that I'm not applying any foam adhesive to where the birdhouse will extend into the sky. I'm going to place that down so that the dark circle is centered inside of the die cut circle. I have a quick strip that I'm going to stamp my sentiment, and then I've also stamped a bunny and flowers and a couple butterflies in some Versamark and embossed it with some clear embossing powder and used my watercolor brush pens to add color to these images. To cut them out, I'm just going to fussy cut all around them, and then I can add them to my card. Just as I did with the birdhouse, I want to pop up my rabbit and my flowers and butterflies. So I'm figuring out where he'll fit under the birdhouse. I kind of like him a little off-centered here. And then I'm going to add some of these foam dimensionals behind the rabbit, peel off all of the release paper, and then place that rabbit onto my card. I'm also going to cut down some smaller pieces of these foam adhesives and place my flowers to the left of my little rabbit. And I'm going to do the same thing with my butterflies, placing one in the sky along with the clouds, and then the other one to the left of my birdhouse. Now it's going to take me a little bit to figure out exactly where I want this quick strip to go, so I edited out all the different places I am attempting to put this quick strip, and I ultimately decide that I like it in the sky area with the clouds and a little bit under the sun rays. So I am going to get out my sentiment Happy Easter from the stamp set and make sure that it fits where I want to on the quick strip in the sky there, and it looks like it will fit perfectly. So I'm going to get out my VersaFine ink in Onyx Black as well as a clear block to stamp this sentiment. I'm making sure they're as close as possible so I can get a nice clean stamp that fits in that little area. Ink up the stamp and stamp it as far as I can on the left of this quick strip. After I'm done stamping that down, I'm going to place it onto my card. I'm figuring out exactly how it will fit to make sure that my sentiment fits on the card, and then I'm going to use a foam strip to adhere this down. So I'm placing that onto the sky background where it's going to fit and then gluing it down. Now it sticks out past the edge of my card, and I probably should have done this before gluing it to my card base, but that's okay. I'm going to bring in my paper snips and get in there and trim it down so it's flush with my border of my Slimline Meadow die. I'm going to add a little bit of wet glue to make sure it's adhered to the frame and that it won't peel up off the card. And once that's done, I am going to bring out some cute embellishments that are Easter themed, and I'm just going to pick some various ones to put around my card. My birdhouse looked a little empty, so I put in a couple eggs as well as some of these flower and leaf sequins and a few sequins in the sky. I hope you enjoyed this process of how I use the Slimline Meadow die. Go ahead and click on the link in my description to head to the next hopper and comment along for a chance to win that gift card. If you enjoyed this process video, I hope you'll click that like button, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe for more videos from me. Thanks again for watching and have a wonderful day.